all happens, folks. CBS Radio Conference Room, the Brain Trust, Jack Zarincic, and Big Mac himself, as in Chris Mack. What do you have on your lunch?
You keep your hands out of my lunch, Pratt. Come on.
I'm hungry. Listen, I'm so grateful that Joe Kopp took a little time, senior producer, 93.7 The Fan, to give me an opportunity to bring these guys to you. I try to listen to them as much as I can on the radio, and I'll be listening a little bit tomorrow on News Radio 1020 KDK because at 1 o'clock, because we have a baseball game on 93.7 The Fan at Wrigley, where the Pirates right now are leading 1-0 in the third. Is also Jack Johnson Day tomorrow. We are going to have News Radio 1020 KDKA, the Blue Gold game presented by PNC at Heinz Field. Little spring football for you Pitt Panther fans, but we're talking baseball now. McCutchen gets his first home run of the year yesterday. The starting pitching hasn't really lived up to its potential, and Garrett Cole, who's going to 4 5-mile-an-hour fastball, but a lot of missed opportunities, meaning fastballs that aren't being swung on and missed, and sliders that aren't dropping enough to do the same damage. So where are we with this baseball team right now, Jack Zarincic?
You know, you go through parts of it where you play really good baseball, and sometimes you don't play real good baseball. And I think they're at a point right now where they haven't started off like they would like to. And as a result, because it's early in the year, this is your first look at the ball club. You're like, what kind of club do we have here? But, hopefully it settles in. You go throughout baseball, there are guys that are off to hot starts. There are clubs that are off to hot starts. And there are players that are slow and there are teams that are slow. So right now, it just hasn't gelled at all right now. So they've got some work to do to try to get it back on track.
He asked me earlier, he said, what did you expect? I just hoped for more wins, and it would have been nice. But there's still a lot of baseball to be played. But it would be nice for them to have a good weekend in Chicago.
It would. I mean, they're in a tough spot. You start out 3-6, and then you've got 6 on the road in places like Chicago and St. Louis against the Cardinals team that's struggling too. So the pressure is going to be on in St. Louis. When we looked at the schedule early on, Rob, we looked at it and said if they can get out of April 500, they'll be in a good spot because the schedule softens up a good bit in May. I still think that's the case. If they can get out of April at 500, I'll be okay with where they are with things. Win a ball game or two at Wrigley this weekend, that's obviously going to help. And then move on to St. Louis, and it doesn't get any easier. You come back home and you got the Yankees and Cubs again for the next homestand. So the schedule makers in April didn't do them any favors, but they've got to come out swinging the bats a little bit hotter than they have the last couple of weeks.
Former GM with Seattle, so he knows all about those American League teams, and they're going to be giving you all that stuff when the Yankees and those other teams are playing our Pittsburgh Pirates. Still really get a big kick out of that interleague play, and of course, what happened in Boston. I think Clint Hurdle had a great saying when they said we got to go back one day to Boston. He said, how bad can it be when you get to go to Fenway Park and play some baseball? So that's a pretty good thing. Okay, Jamison Tyon, Tyler Glasnow, who goes tomorrow, Chad Kuhl, who went yesterday, of course, Garrett Cole. Just your thoughts about this starting pitching. And it's early, but you had some good observations about just because someone's an athlete, at least has the physical appearance of being an athlete, doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be a great pitcher in the big league.
Everybody's different. Every single player has their own DNA. Every player has their own DNA. Some guys arrive like Jamison Tyon and hit the ground running. And that has a lot to do with who he is, what he's all about. I think with Tyler Glasnow, you're looking at a very talented kid who's got all the stuff it takes to be a good pitcher. But what we've seen so far is he's not a pitcher yet. He's a terrific talent. And then you look at the other side as a Chad Kuhl, and you've got a guy who's like a 10th round pick. This guy's had to be a blood and guts guy coming all the way up through the minor league system. And he's different in the fact that he's got that mentality. He's a tough guy. He's going to the mound. He's a bulldog. So with all three guys, when you look at them, you can't say we've got 3 young guys and we're going to lean our hats on them. This is what we're going to do. This is what they're going to be. They all develop differently at different times. And, you hope that this year they develop quickly.
All right, the other guy, Ivan Nova, then talk a little bit about the bullpen, and then we'll wrap it up. Go ahead.
Well, no, I was actually going to bring Ivan Nova up because when I talked to him the other day, I asked him what he learned from when he was a young pitcher. I mean, he debuted at 22 in the Bronx. I mean, that's a high-pressure environment.
Yeah.
And, I think he looks forward to being given the opportunity to help these young guys along when they need it. He knows when he's needed and when he's not needed. And, he was mentored by Hall of Famers in New York. So he knows how to talk to these guys and maybe help them realize what may be working, what might not be working. And best of all, he wants to be in Pittsburgh, which is important. The guy took less money to be in a place that he wanted to be in. Maybe the big offers weren't out there in the free agent market, but he's ecstatic to be here, and he's pitched pretty well so far. I mean, every single starter in this pitching rotation has gone at least 6 innings the last time through other than Glasnow. So they're at least getting innings out of them early.
Let's let you know these guys know a little bit more than just baseball. Thoughts about the Penguins? Obviously tonight you've got Marc-Andre Fleury in goal again, and is he tweaked, or is he just going to get a chance to continue what he did the other day, meaning Matt Murray's out and Marc-Andre Fleury going tonight?
I mean, it sounds like Murray's out for the foreseeable future, so you ride the hot hand. And I think unless you get a really nasty performance from Fleury in the near future, at the same time that Murray is back healthy, it's Flowers' net for the time being.
And you know what I like is the fact Russ and Kessel and the other guys are getting goals, and in on the assist, you're getting Malcolm, who just gets back in the lineup, and you know what Sidney can do. So I tell you what, I think Mike Sullivan's going to have a not easy time of it, but you'd have to believe that they're the team to beat in this first round series against Columbus. Jack.
I'm not the biggest hockey fan, knowledgeable guy, so I'm just happy the Penguins are doing what they're doing. They got 11 or 12 years in the playoffs in a row.
Yeah.
You got a history here where you got Lemieux and now you got Sidney Crosby. You got Maul. I mean, this is Hockey Town, USA, the way I look at it. So we're pulling for him.
Well, the only reason I did all this so I could keep him from one more, of course, Mr. Rooney's passing, and I said that he's going to be viewed on Monday at the Champions Club, PNC Champions Club at Heinz Field from 2 to 7, and then the Cathedral. Obviously, his funeral mass will be on Tuesday, and we're going to be talking about him all weekend long. Just some thoughts about Mr. Rooney, and I think the message that I got back from Cardinal World North Catholic, of course, Mr. Rooney, a North Catholic grad, was he was such a humble guy, and I think that's how everybody thinks of Mr. Dan Rooney, as a humble guy.
I mean, I don't know. I only got to meet him in passing a few times at the Steelers facility out in Latrobe, but as a kid that grew up in Western PA, I don't know if there's any guy that's more Pittsburgh than Dan Rooney. Humble is one word I would use to describe him. Obviously, as many others who knew him a lot better than I did would describe him. And I think Ed Bouchette said it the best. I heard him on earlier today with Cook and Pony on the Fan, and he said, his dad, the chief, always used to preach to him, don't be a big shot, okay? Don't act like a big shot. And the best way to describe him was he was a big shot. This is a guy that the NFL turned to when they needed leadership amongst their owners, when they needed cohesion amongst their owners, and he was always the guy to grant that leadership. But he didn't carry himself like it. He didn't carry himself like the most important guy in football. Which he was many times when there was labor strife, when there were issues. A lot of people forget it was his idea to say, you know what, 3 teams have to leave the old NFL to move to the AFC when we merge. We'll be one of them. Come on, Cleveland. Come on, Baltimore. Come with me. We'll go over to the AFC. That's just one example. The guy was, humble is the word, Rob, because humble to a fault maybe at times, because he was, he cared about the Steelers, he cared about his Irish roots, and he cared about
his Catholic
others,
faith,
his Catholic faith, and others, most importantly, is what drove Dan Rooney, his care for others.
Wonderful text from Bishop Zubik last night, and you can use this because it was your story. This is about North Catholic and Kevin Colbert, who we all know, who went to North Catholic. Go ahead, tell the folks that.
Yeah, I mean, I worked years ago with, the first job I had coming out of minor league baseball, I got hired by Jack Wachowski, who was the head football coach at Austin Peay. He took me down there as one of his assistants. He's a North Catholic guy. He was one of the assistant coaches at Newcastle High School when I was there. And I would always hear him talk about North Catholic, when I came back to the area and had a chance to, his brother Joe Wachowski, same thing, and of course the Rooney family. And they used to take a lot of the area football guys, coaches, and bring them in on weekends and off season and break down films. And many of them were North Catholic guys. But I was talking to Kevin Colbert, and Kevin had a great line, talking about Mr. Rooney, and he said when he got the job, one of the writers asked him, "Hey Kevin, you're a North Catholic guy," or he asked Mr. Rooney.
Right.
Kevin was a North Catholic guy. You think that helped him? And Mr. Rooney's reply was, "Well, it didn't hurt him."
That's it.
So, all of us growing up in Western PA, going way back to the chief, the father, what an icon he was, and then passed on to his son. And now the Rooney, the rest of the Rooney family is going to continue. But, you just loved how they were, and you loved how real they were. And Kevin said to me, as I've heard from other people too, he's a special man, Jack. He was a special man. So we've heard that all since yesterday from everyone that's been on the radio.
Listen, I know you guys do a lot of homework and you work a lot more hours than they just hear them on the radio. So I want to thank you both for giving me some time and just talking some sports. And let's go Bucks. And again, all weekend long in Chicago at Wrigley Field. And you can hear it as you can all season. Home and away, these guys get it going for the guys. 93.7 The Fan. The Pirates. Have a great weekend, everybody.